Hello and welcome. You're watching ENC24, where we bring you the latest curated news from around the globe. You're currently watching a special show, News Overviews. I'm your host, Srfti Parthasarthi. Let us begin by taking a look at today's headlines.
Yet another attack in Ukraine. On Friday morning, a crowded railway station in the city of Kramatorsk was attacked by a Russian missile. After the slapping incident with Chris Rock at the Oscars ceremony, actor Will Smith has been banned for 10 years from attending Oscars and the other Academy events. Education has been one of the severely affected sectors due to the pandemic. Teachers observe stark differences in the behavior and studying patterns of kids.
Let us move on to the first news of the show. It's been more than a month since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. In yet another horrific incident, there has been a missile strike at the Kramatorsk railway station in Ukraine, where people had gathered in order to evacuate the city. Here is a report on the same.
A Russian rocket has hit a railway station in the city of Kramatorsk in East Ukraine. The station was filled with 4,000 people, including women, children, and elderly people. The officials said that the sudden missile attack caused the death of at least 50 people, including children, along with about 100 severely wounded. It has been said that Russia failed to conquer the capital Kyiv, therefore it is recuperating and is concentrating its force in Kramatorsk. Regarding the missile attack, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the attack was deliberately done on civilians using a short-range ballistic missile. Alongside President Volodymyr Zelensky, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen too visited Kyiv and Brookshire on Friday. Regarding the Ukrainian bid for EU membership, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen offered her reassurance and expressed her shock and horror at the war crimes being committed. Although the Kremlin still denied the attack as before, the reports were presented with the evidence of atrocities committed by Russian troops. The Union General Assembly held a meeting on Thursday. In the meeting, votes were casted against one of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council from its top human rights panel. The EU and British announced sanctions against Russia, whereas the Russians still accused Ukraine of staging the attacks.
Those are some tragic and disturbing visuals that we just saw. We have with us Mr. Kovalenko, an embassy official from Ukraine, who will shed further light on the issue. Hello, Mr. Kovalenko, can you hear me?
Yes, Srfti, I can hear you.
Sir, could you tell us about the situation and the rescue operation that are currently being carried out there?
This situation right now is very horrific. We are at a loss of words. The rescue operation has begun in full force as soon as things came into our notice. But the NGO people were rushed to nearby centers and undergoing treatment. And we are thankful to US and Poland for helping us with necessary emergency utilities. Apart from that, medical train that started in Ukraine was a big help to take steps in a faster and efficient manner.
So has there been any comment from the higher Ukraine officials on this matter?
Yeah, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Russia will descend into economic, financial and technological decay, while Ukraine is marching towards a European future. Zelensky described this as an evil move with no limits. There is this guy called Pavlov Kirilenko, who is an Ukrainian prosecutor. He has published several photos online which works as a proof of mass destruction in an attempt to negate the pathetic excuse of Russia, calling this staged and pushing the blame on Ukrainian government. She also stated that the attack was targeted specifically towards the civilians from the beginning only.
Right. What is the reaction of the UN on the same? And does their support indirectly mean a boycott on Russia?
Yeah, actually there has been a strong condemn towards the Russian atrocities. Human Rights Panel has also cast a vote on termination of one of the core 5 members. Although a complete boycott on Russia is a still far-fetched idea, considering many are choosing to abstain, but the Secretary General reiterates his appeal to concerned to bring an immediate end to this brutal war.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kovalenko, for sparing some precious few minutes and talking to us. What's happening in Ukraine is absolutely heart-wrenching. No matter what happens, war is never the solution. We hope better sense prevails and the world sees brighter days in the future. We will be back with you with yet another news, but till then, let's take a short commercial break. Welcome back. There's a lot of noise regarding actor Will Smith right now. The Academy has banned the celebrated actor from attending Oscars for 10 years post the Chris Rock slap fiasco. Let's have a look at the report.
The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences Board of Governors have voted against Will Smith to put a ban on him for 10 years from all the Academy events. The Academy gave a statement regarding their decision about the incident on Friday. In the statement, President David Rubin and CEO Don Hudson said, "Today, the Board of Governors convened a meeting to discuss how best to respond to Will Smith's actions at the Oscars, in addition to accepting his resignation. The board has decided for a period of 10 years starting April 8, 2022, Mr. Smith shall not be permitted to attend any Academy events or programs in person or virtually, including but not limited to the Academy Award." The statement also said the 94th Oscars were meant to be a celebration of the many individuals in our community who did incredible work this past year. However, those moments were overshadowed by the unacceptable and harmful behavior we saw Mr. Smith exhibit on the stage. The meeting was called early due to the announcement Smith made regarding his resignation from the Academy last week. After his resignation, Smith said in his announcement that he will fully accept any and all consequences for his misconduct. Smith also issued an apology to comedian Chris Rock and the Academy for his disorderly behavior on his social media handle after being backlashed.
Well, that is certainly a stern decision taken by the Academy. We now have our correspondent Samiksha, who will speak to an audience member that was present at the Oscars when the incident happened. Over to you, Samiksha.
Thank you, Srfti. We are right now present in front of the office of Mr. Adam, who was present at the Oscars this year when the incident between Chris Rock and Will Smith took place. We'll ask him and get to know more about the incident. Hello, sir. Can you tell us what exactly happened behind the scene?
So basically, initially we thought that this is some kind of a gimmick. But when Chris went backstage and Academy officials started talking to Will Smith, that's when we got to know that no, this is something serious.
So what do you think about the 10-year ban that has been put on Will Smith after the incident?
Actually, this is good and for now. But I think what should have been done is that to escort Will Smith then and there from the award ceremony. Maybe because he's such a big personality and was supposed to get an award later that night. So that didn't happen. But that kind of step should have been taken.
Okay, so don't you think it was wrong on Chris's part also to make a joke on such a sensitive topic?
Look, people must understand the concept of comedy and especially the roast comedy, where it's not about insulting the other person but to make a fun dig about their life. And when people understand about that, maybe it will become easier to take a joke on themselves. But assault in any case is not acceptable at all. That's what I think.
Correct. So how do you think incidents like these can be avoided by the Academy in the future?
I think Academy people should be understanding about the comedy culture and to maintain decorum and composure in such prestigious events. Apart from that, Academy can also give the people who come there a heads up that this kind of joke or one-liner might get cracked on them. So they'll be aware about that and give their consent in this regard. So such kind of incidents can be avoided by doing that.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your time. That was Mr. Adam who gave us insider information on the event with cameraman Fayaz Samiksha Mathur for ENC 24.
Thank you, Samiksha, for the information. We now know what exactly happened behind the scenes and how the audiences perceived the entire situation. Although strict action has been taken, some people still feel that the impact would have been much better had Will Smith been escorted out of the room at that moment. On one side, people think it was an opportunity to set a precedent that went begging, and on the other side, few people also blame Chris Rock for making fun of a sensitive topic. Let us know what you have to say about this on ENC24 Facebook page by writing in comments and voting on the poll. Now, we move on to our local section, but before that, let's take a look at the weather report.
Thank you, Srfti. There will be a heat wave condition in the western parts of the country. Here you can see Mumbai will see a maximum temperature of 34 degrees Celsius and a minimum of 27 degrees Celsius. The temperature will be higher across the northern parts of the country. Heat wave conditions have been forecasted in certain parts of the Rajasthan and Haryana. New Delhi will witness a maximum temperature of 41 degrees Celsius and a minimum of 27 degrees Celsius. Talking about the southern region of the country, Bangalore will see a maximum temperature of 32 degrees and a minimum of 21 degrees. The chances of stronger southern winds forming over Bay of Bengal. Kolkata will have a temperature of ranging from 27 degrees to 39 degrees Celsius. That's all from me. Over to you, Srfti.
Thank you for that insightful weather report, Siddhant. It's apparent that we need to stay hydrated in order to beat the heat. Now it's time for a short commercial break, but do stay tuned as we bring to you our local news and interesting panel discussion around the same topic on the other side. Welcome back after the break. The COVID-19 pandemic is having its adverse effects on everyone. In an interesting news, teachers have found quite a few behavioral changes in students before and after the pandemic. Let us hear what they have to say in our next report.
Hello and welcome to ENC24. Schools are reopening in a staggered manner after almost 2 years of pandemic, and we are here to shed light on how it has affected the studying pattern and mental health of children. What are the differences that you saw in the studying patterns, their mental health, any personal observations that you've seen?
Children became more distracted, lack of focus, lack of discipline.
They have become grumpy. They have become a bit rude at times. They are not behaving properly with the new faces they are seeing.
After the pandemic struck, we realized the very act of putting on a uniform, getting up on time, sitting at a certain place to prepare your lessons, all this had ramifications on how much the child would learn.
We realize that there has been a lot of learning gap, and students from all grades, they need to gear up, and even for teachers, we need to do a lot in order to fill up this or bridge in the gap that has been established.
Ma'am, what were the setbacks that you faced, and what was the actions that the institution took towards minimalizing the setback from pandemic?
The target this year is back to basics. Can children write? Can children read? Can children speak? Can children process information?
We have decided to take very, very small steps and not rush into anything in the new academic session, because we do realize that the children will take a while before they settle back.
From what we have heard, the 2 years of forced stay at home has impacted the children of Kolkata adversely, with less attention span, reduced immunity due to lack of exposure to common viruses and bacteria, and their overall health. With cameraman Vishnu and Vikas on sound, Yashasvi Srivastav, ENC24.
You heard what the teachers had to say. Those are some thought-provoking statements right there. But why is this happening? To help us figure that out, we have with us today renowned child psychologist Dr. Srfti Day and Mr. Shamal Karmakar, a concerned parent who will give us perspectives on how children are coping up with this situation. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I first would like to start with you. What do you have to say about what has been said in this situation, and why do you think something like this is happening after the pandemic?
First of all, I like to say that it is lovely to see the kids back in school. Now, this 2 to 3 years has been really a struggling period for them, when we had a normal disruption of our daily routines, and there are lots of adverse effects are on them, like which mainly I want to focus on 3 points, like mobility restriction is there on the part of the kids of same age group, and disruption of daily routines, and experiential deprivation, that is lack of appropriateness in age appropriateness in communication, language, and cognition stimulation. So, this is an immense effect. And if I like to focus more deep, it is just this generalized thing. If I focus more into some specific age group, then or age format, the children of belonging to low socioeconomic status, they are suffering the worst, and the migrants, the children of the migrants, then the children of the frontline workers, and obviously the neurodevelopmental disorder, the children with neurodevelopmental disorders. So, the effect overall it is immense, and to different age groups differently. And one more thing I like to focus, that immense sexual abuse, child sexual abuse has been increased, and in child care line we have been reported 50% increase, because they are not having any escape to school from the home abusive situations. So, it requires a lot of patience on the part of the teacher, the parent, and obviously on part of mental health workers.
Right. So, from there I'd like to come to you, sir. Could you talk to us about the routine of your child, and what change did you see during the pandemic?
Actually, my child, she's my daughter, only daughter, and she was 16 when pandemic broke, and she was a very jolly girl. She was in everything. She was in a school where she represented her school in dance, music. Was a good student, very outgoing, and suddenly everything stopped. When she became 16, the world should have been open for her. Instead of that, everything crumpled down, and everything was like stopped. I was staying in a campus where we had a room, where we had a house secluded. She was there, and we had a garden. Suddenly the garden, and nobody was there to look after the garden. She could not come out of the place, and slowly she stopped smiling. Her studying, she was not studying, and then online classes started. She could not attend the classes properly, because she started becoming absent-minded, and then that was the time she started with a course where she wanted to be an engineer. So she was going to the classes, that is stopped, everything stopped. So slowly I could see that she stopped talking to us, because I was very close to her. We used to hug each other, we used to run around, we used to laugh around together. Suddenly I could realize that if I get into her room, she will be like little irritated, and one day she was like, after a point of time, she started, one day she was very upset. She said that I will not listen to you.
So, I'd like to interrupt you and try to understand in closing, what do you think would be the adverse effects in the long term for these kids? In brief, if you could tell, ma'am.
First, we have to
as brief as possible, ma'am.
Yes, sure, I'll try to. First, we have to remember one thing. This pandemic.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. We'd love to have talked more to you about this and get some more insights. Thank you so much. That's the discussion. We had to unfortunately stop it in between. That's it from our side on News Overviews. You take care, stay safe, and keep watching ANC 24 for more interesting news around the world.